My client has some dogs underneath some storage buildings. They needed me to come out and spray for some fleas. So I'm out there doing my thing, and what do you know, an emergency call from the office. There's a possum locked in a bathroom. Having received the call while I was on another stop, I was completely unprepared. So I wanted to swing by the office, grab a cage real quick, and get to this location. So I just got off the phone with the office. Apparently the homeowner has it trapped in the bathroom. I understand the house is vacant, so I presume they're either moving in or out. But either way, this possum has to be on his way. Pulled up to the office, I knew there was still no time to waste. I threw the cage in the back of the truck and I was at it again. Me and Chris made amazing time. As soon as I was pulling up in the neighborhood, he whipped in right in front of me. We got there at the same time. Our response time was so good, we actually beat the client there. Problem is neither one of us have a snare or really anything to grab this possum with. We're waiting on the resident right now to let us inside, see what we can do with this situation. But we've already started off on the wrong foot with no snares. Me and Chris looked around for a few moments, and sure enough, there she was.
So when I pull up at this address, I'm still going off of the little bit of information that was provided to me on the initial call-in. Once we get here, we see it's a nice house. It doesn't have any compromised areas on the brick or the roof. So it's a real head-scratcher to really figure out how this thing is getting in.
My name is Shelby and I was here about 30 minutes ago checking on the house and went to check all the areas, the water and the restrooms, and looked down and there was a little furry critter. I immediately shut the door and ran, called y'all and pleaded for help.
When I got to the bathroom door, I started listening. I didn't hear anything, so I slid that door open not knowing what I was going to get, and she did catch it in the cage she put out. But the thing's a little baby. It's so cute and cuddly. I thought I was going for some pit viper or something. I thought I'm gonna rip this door open, thing's gonna come and leap at my face. No, it damn near started purring.
I actually had set a trap just in case y'all weren't able to get to this, you know, in today or whatever. And so I set a trap and left, and then when I came back, when I entered the building, the house with y'all, luckily the little critter had entered the trap and kind of made it a little easier for us.
And I'm admiring it and hoping it's safe and okay, and what's it do? Poof! It leaps right out of my hand, shoots right toward her. She starts screaming. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Chris fortunately jumped in and grabbed the thing and we had it again. But I tell you, for such a small little, cute little thing, it's sure creating one mayhem of a day. Safe. You can't be outside. That's too dangerous. There you go. There's no telling how long this possum has been trapped in here. It's very small and it cannot have been from its mother very long. They have a really amazing ability to be able to smell and sense water. So I imagine that's why it was here in the bathtub, really hoping trying to get some water from the toilet. But the toilet seat was closed, so, you know, no action there. But we really need to find out now is how that thing got in here and if there's more. About to head up the attic and see what we find. The bathroom is directly beneath me. You can see right here in the insulation, there's bore a hole. Usually when an animal is traveling through the insulation, they'll go roughly the size of their body. This here seems to me to be about the size of that little possum. So he's definitely been up here. So now we got to go on the outside of the house and figure out how it got from the outside of the house into the attic. If we can solve that problem, this mystery will be over.
The cage actually belongs to my mother. She lives just up the road. So I went to her house and got the cage, and she just suggested I put carrot and lettuce in it. She's had issues before, and this is actually my first episode.
So it wasn't until my last turn on the inspection that I looked up and I found this hole here. And this makes complete and perfect sense in relation to the size of the critter that was found to the size of the soffit that it went through. He was using this tree to go right up, hop onto the corner of the roof, and then into the soffit from there. Then he's got his home made.
When I was up in the attic, I seen some holes in the insulation and some runs that came right to this side of the house.
I will notify the owner and get this thing patched up, and we'll get the little critter back to where it belongs.
All right, yeah, and it might not be a good idea that we get a trap set for Mama. You just never know.
I agree.
Now that this possum is safely in the console of my truck, I think I've got it from here. Seems like the big emergency I needed help on is pretty simple after all. I'm gonna take this guy to a buddy of mine, and I think he's gonna help me out just fine. My buddy Juan told me he'd be glad to help this possum get to maturity and get out on his own.
Oh, my chickens, they're doing so good. Yeah, and the rabbits too. And then, how you doing, Mr. Ricky? See you
Hey,
up, sir.
how's it going there, Juan?
All right, not too bad.
Junior, how you doing?
How can we help you?
Man, well, this is the little guy I called you about. My buddy Juan does a lot of rehab for animals. I knew he'd be the perfect candidate to help me with this possum.
Once we raise them up and he's ready to go on his own, or she, and we'll let him back out on the wild and they can
All
do his
right.
thing.
It looks like Juan's going to be able to help this possum out. Make sure it has plenty of shade, coolness, milk, nutrition, you name it. He's going to take care of it. Once this thing gets big enough to be out on its own, off it goes. This is going to be a great little story. I'm happy for that guy.